So, what'd you think of the new intro? I know it's a little bit long, so in most videos you'll see a shortened version that just skips straight to the title screen, but I really like it. I hope that you do too, and you will occasionally see the full thing again. And that's just the first of the new things that I want to share with you before we get into the Q&A. But first, let's back up a bit and talk about what we're celebrating today. June 8th, which is tomorrow if you're watching this the day it comes out, is the 1-year anniversary of when I posted my very first video to YouTube. And my performance in it and the technical quality of the video are not great, but the content still holds up. I talk about one of the foundations of my Pokemon worldview. And since then, it's been a fantastic year, from being featured on Birdkeeper Toby's channel to hosting amazing YouTubers like Hybrid Hero and Skip the Tutorial on the podcast, to the friends that I have made, and of course, all of you. Everyone who leaves comments on my videos, and even those of you who just watch and don't interact, I still really appreciate all of you, all of the time that you've given to my channel. And of course, the biggest news is that last week, just a few hours after the Dusclops redesign video dropped, we hit 1,000 subscribers. And I know that it's cliche to say this, but I couldn't have done it without you. And not just because you are literally the 1,000 subscribers who watch this, but because if not for your interaction, you're talking to me in the comments and on Twitter, I don't know that I would have made it through an entire year. So thank you so much. So about those new things, the first one that I want to tell you about is that I started a Patreon. The main purpose of the Patreon is to help me offset equipment costs. For example, I'm going to need to buy a new computer that is compatible with the Elgato capture card that I already have before I can record and stream from the Switch for Sword and Shield, for example. None of the computers that I have right now are compatible with it. So that's my first order of business. And I want to make a huge shout out to Ethan. He's been just the biggest supporter of this channel, just completely legendary, giving out subscriptions on Twitch, helping with the push toward 1,000 subscribers on Twitter, and he's now also my first patron. The Pokeball Patreon tier gives you access to a private Discord. We started a private Discord that is only for Twitch subscribers, patrons, and a few people that have been personally invited. It's a place for us to hang out any day of the week, and also for me to avoid Twitter and Sword and Shield spoilers in the coming months. It's also where I primarily go for feedback on the channel, so you get to have more of a say in the direction that we go in. The Premier Ball Patreon tier also gives you a discount at my merch store, and yes, that means there is now a merch store on Teespring. There's a design based on the new channel logo, and also one based on the Wimpod or Escape Unknown that we designed a while back. And if you want to get these designs right now, you can use the promo code ANNIVERSARY for 20% off, but that's for this weekend only, so only until Sunday, June 9th. Of course, there's other Patreon tiers and other perks as well, but we should get on with the Q&A. Links to Patreon and to the Teespring merch store are in the description, but you should not go there now. You should wait until the end of the video. The Dud on YouTube asks, are there any Pokemon you wish to get an evolution, pre-evolution, mega evolution, or regional variant? Well, for one, I wish all of the mega evolutions were proper evolutions, but that's not something I'm gonna get. And that also takes a lot of the Pokemon that I would want to get evolutions because they already have mega evolutions, so they're not going to get proper ones like Absol and Houndoom, for example. Well, for regional variants, I hope that they focus on Pokemon that aren't from Kanto. That's basically all it is. I mean, there are Kanto Pokemon that I think could get regional variants still, but I feel like they've done plenty with the Kanto Pokemon. They can focus on Johto and on. The kind of obvious choice is Dunsparce. Everyone thinks Dunsparce should evolve, but I think that Dunsparce already is exactly what they want it to be. It's not meant to be useful. It would be interesting to get some of the Route 1, early game mammal Pokemon, like the cats or the rodents. Would be interesting to get a third evolution for some of those. Generally, they are very bad Pokemon. Yeah, as much as I like Furret, I think you could get an extra Furret. You could get a super Furret. All right, let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
Pokemaniac Charon asked on the Discord, could you name 5 movies that left a big impression on you? I don't know if I can name 5, but I can definitely tell you some. Hero is one of them. It's a Chinese movie. Basically it tells the same story, I think, 3 or 4 different times from different perspectives. So it's very interesting in terms of storytelling because you don't really know which one is real. And it's also just visually very beautiful, very colorful. It's wonderful and you should watch it. Obviously, the Lego Movie. Everyone who knows me knows that I love the Lego Movie. Somehow I haven't watched the second one yet, but the first one, everything is awesome. Lately, I've been thinking about the Speed Racer movie a lot. It's a fantastic movie and also just a really good anime adaptation. I feel like it does everything right. I could just like pick an MCU one. Like Thor Ragnarok is really, really good. Addison Antonoff on Twitter asks, what is your favorite baked good from Pokebake? For those of you that don't watch me on Twitch, on Sundays while we're playing Pokemon White, we're doing a wedlock kind of thing. My wife bakes in the background and we call that Pokebake. I think that the one that I liked the most was the Ferrero Rocher cheesecake. My wife's cheesecakes are fantastic. Best cheesecakes I've ever had. She's blushing behind the camera. The Dud again, but this time on Twitter, asks, what is your favorite new mechanic that has been added to the games from any generation? I would say that it was the Dex Nav from ORAS. Being able to see on the bottom screen which Pokemon are available in that area that you've already seen, and also which one, like just a silhouette of the ones you haven't found yet. Being able to specifically hunt for any Pokemon, basically. Whether you're shiny hunting or just hoping for better stats or better nature or whatever. And the sneaking mechanic, that was so fantastic. I don't think there's anything about that I disliked, that I thought was poorly done. It was perfect, and I wish it had continued for every other game. Addison Antonoff on Twitter again, asking, how does being a visual artist affect your gaming experience? Which is a really good question, and one that I don't know if I really have an answer to. It's hard for me to compare my gaming experience to someone who's not a visual artist. I don't know how someone who's not a visual artist experiences games. Look, my wife is a visual artist too, so like that's all I know. All I know is what visual artists look for. Obviously, I appreciate a game that is very beautiful aesthetically, whether that's, Cuphead or Breath of the Wild, or one that I found recently, Typewriter. But I think I like those games for other reasons. I mean, obviously the aesthetics are part of it, but I don't know that that's something that's special to me. Everyone thinks those games are beautiful. Vinicius Concini, I'm sorry, I don't know what language your name is. I don't know if it's in Portuguese or English or Italian, but I'm pronouncing it in Portuguese. So Vinicius Concini asks on YouTube, what are your favorite and your least favorite Pokemon designs out of all, and why? And Felix Barbucci on YouTube and Addison Antonoff on Twitter also had similar questions. And that's a really difficult question, because I don't know if I have, like, a single top design. The single, like, bottom design is a little bit easier because of Cryogonal. But on the high end, I don't know. There's so much good stuff. I don't know that there's one that like really stands out. But ever since I did the best designs of Gen 6, I've been holding Braixen in especially high regard. I noticed a lot of details about that design in the process of doing the research that I hadn't noticed before. And now I just think that Braixen is really, really successful. Actually, yes, there is one that I think is the absolute best Pokemon, and that's Cubone. Cubone is probably the best designed Pokemon. It has everything it needs to have, and it doesn't have all the things it needs to not have, which is a face. Or a mommy. Rayquaza the Spy and Champion Darkblaze, both on Twitter, also had very similar questions. What or who inspired you to start your channel, and who in the community inspires you the most? I started my channel, I was inspired to start my channel because of the work done by other fantastic Pokemon YouTubers, especially Bookkeeper Toby, True Green 7, Tamashi, and Loxton. I think those are the big four that really were making such incredible content that I was like, I want to do that too. I feel like I've talked about all of these people in some video in the past. But I guess I can talk about the two people that I've become friends with, the two other YouTubers that I've really become friends with through this, and that is Brett and the Ruined Maniac Files. Brett doesn't do a lot of videos, but I find that their videos are really fun. And even though I have not been able to really participate in their streams are really, really fun. I have been in them just lurking because they always happen to stream while I'm working. So I can't be both on the stream and working at the same time, but I sometimes put it on and just watch it. And their streams are really fun. You should definitely check them out on Twitch and, of course, on YouTube as well. And Brett is really close to 300 subs, so go give him some love. And the Ruined Maniac Files, I'm always really baffled, really surprised at the amount of research that goes into his videos. His videos are always really deep. Sometimes I have a bit of a hard time following them if I'm not like really paying attention to the video because there's just so much information crammed in there. It is just so much research that goes into each of his videos. Absolutely worth watching. Just a Pigeon on YouTube asks, which Pokemon have proved to be the most valuable on past or present teams? Okay, I'm going to talk about my current Ultra Moon team, which is all Dark-type Pokemon. It's got, let me see if I can remember all of them off the top of my head. Protean Greninja, that I specifically bred. It's a shiny one too. It's obviously my favorite one on the team, but surprisingly, not the most valuable. He's a bit too frail. Zoroark, also kind of frail. That one took a long time to be useful. Zorua is a crappy Pokemon.
Yeah.
Mandibuzz, actually that one has been surprisingly useful. It's very, very defensive, but it also took a long time for it to be a hard hitter. And then the two newest members of the team, Bisharp and Scrafty. Both very hard hitters, but Bisharp especially can't take too many hits. But the one that has been really surprisingly very, very useful is my Alolan Muck. Muck is not a Pokemon that I'd really ever used before, and honestly, when I caught it at the beginning of the game, I didn't expect to continue using it all the way to the Elite Four. I thought I was going to replace it with something else eventually, but no, that thing can take hits and dish out tons of damage. I've just been really surprised at how good Slick has been. That's Muck's name. Pokemaniac Charon on the Discord asked, why aren't you listening to enough instrumental post-rock? I don't know, Charon. Why don't you tell me some instrumental post-rock that I should be listening to? I'll give it a try. Ethan from Chicago asks on Twitter, why is Gen 1 the best gen? It isn't. But I think the reason that a lot of people think that it is just nostalgia. There's definitely been better games, better generations of Pokemon, like better designs, more interesting and more powerful Pokemon. Everything has been better since Gen 1. Maybe the one thing that was better in Gen 1 was the feeling of freedom and the like minimal story where the only thing in the game that you had to do was explore and you just kind of defeated Team Rocket just because you happened to be there kind of thing. And not because you were destined to do it or anything like that. So that is probably one of the things that Gen 1 did the best, in my opinion. But other than that, everything has been better since then. But because we keep seeing Gen 1, and because we have nostalgia, because it's like 23 years old, that's the one that a lot of people like the best. But Gen 2 is the best. And last question for today, Tada Trav. Or Tada Trav, I'm not sure. Not sure if it's supposed to rhyme or not. Tada Trav on YouTube asks, what is your favorite non-Pokemon game? Breath of the Wild. Easy. Easy. Probably the best game, period. It's my favorite game. It's on above Pokemon. But Zelda is my second favorite franchise, so it's kind of an obvious choice. It's also a lot of people's favorite game. So if I were to skip Pokemon and Zelda, then I would say Okami. The story is fantastic, the art is amazing, and it has tons of like replay value because when you finish the game, you get to start over, but you keep all of your upgrades. So the game just like gets easier and easier, but not in a bad way, just in the way that like you can see what it's like to defeat a monster that you had trouble with before in like one shot. And the kind of sequel, kind of prequel, Okami Den that came out for the DS, that one was adorable. Also worth playing. And I know you all have one last question. What did you think of all the Sword and Shield information revealed this week? I don't know. In my timeline, it hasn't happened yet. We have a few days to go. But in your timeline, I'm probably tweeting about it. And in any case, that's what we're talking about next week. Links to Patreon and to the Teespring merch store are in the description. Now is the time that you're allowed to click on them. Like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe if you're new here. I don't know why you watched this entire video if you were new here, but if you did, thank you. I'm really excited for the coming year with all of you. I'm Umbreon Libris, and I'll see you in the next chapter. I'm really excited for the coming year with you all. I'm Umbreon Libris. That was terrible. How did I mess up my own name?
Thanks for the blooper material.